All right, here we go. This page is of your review is also some stuff that we did back in Unit 5, so before Christmas. So let's see how you did. I'm not going to kind of go through these in depth, but here is this. Now, let's make sure that we remember this. Here was a probability that a randomly selected person is Caucasian or vegetarian. So that's out of all of the people. So Caucasian or vegetarian. Now, you want to make sure you do not have overlapping because if you took these 173 and you added it to these 100, then you just counted these 38 twice. Okay, so this formula is actually on that formula chart where we are doing this. And so let me show you that up at the in the middle section, this was that probability thing. See where you add the probability of A plus the probability of B, but take away anything that got double counted. Okay. And then while we're at it, here's that given that, so out of all the probabilities of B, the overlap of A and B is on top. And then don't forget the check for independence. We are seeing if these two things are the same, A given B, because that is saying that the fact that B has happened has not changed the probability of A. That's the check for another check for independence. Okay? All right, so going back to this, so there you go. That's why we had that 173 plus 100 minus the 38 that got double counted. What's the probability that a randomly selected vegetarian? So that's out of the 100 vegetarians, which proportion of those are, or what part of those are Asians? What's the probability that a randomly selected person, so this is out of all randomly selected persons of 403, is the intersection of vegetarian and Asian. So that's the overlap out of everybody. Now, if two are selected at random, what's the probability both are African American? Now, you need to keep in mind, when you take one person, you're keeping that person out. So do you see? Look at how this changes. That's not independent. The fact that who I got on the first person affects the probability of who I get on the second one. And that's the same thing that happened with this next one. Neither is a vegetarian. So once I pick a person who's not a vegetarian, then it probably changes for the next one not being a vegetarian. So those numbers went down. Now, here is that independence question, I think. Oh, no, well, first, remember this old probability of at least one is 1 minus the probability of none. So out of 4, what's the probability that none of those, at least one of them is Caucasian? So that's any combination with the exception of the one time that none of them are Caucasian. So it's all of everything except for that one time where none of them are Caucasian. So 1 minus the probability that none of the 4 is Caucasian. So here is this. All right. And okay, now here is the way you would do the check for are being Asian and being vegetarian independent. You can do either of these halves, okay? And these are the only two ways to do it. So see here, see this setup, probability of Asian, and then probability of Asian given that you're a vegetarian. So we're seeing if the fact that you're a vegetarian changes the probability of you being Asian. And I can tell it does. The fact that you are a vegetarian increases the probability that you are Asian. Now, I honestly, I don't think this in real world makes as much sense as saying the fact that you are Asian. Does the fact that you are of Asian descent change the probability that you are a vegetarian? So I think this one actually is the way you'd be asked it on AP if they asked you it, or they wouldn't require that you do one of these ways or the other if it was a free response. But this one makes more sense in the real world. The fact that given that you are an Asian makes it more likely that you are a vegetarian. Okay, so they are not independent because the fact that you are one thing changes the probability. So look here, and then I give specific examples. So remember that when we do this on a free response, I state that they are not independent of each other. I elaborate the fact that you are of Asian descent makes it more likely for you to be a vegetarian. And then I give specific numerical support. Okay. So I think we'll end on that one. That one's kind of a short one because then we'll start going on. Well, let's go ahead and we'll do a few of these multiple choices. So here on our multiple choice, this one is a, um, a sampling distribution. Okay, so we got samples of size 40. And so what we're doing is this is the population mean and the population standard deviation. So see here, then that's telling me that I expect all x bars to be centered here with this standard deviation. So because of this, I can already knock off everything except for two answer choices. Now the question is, what's the order of the numerator? Is it 2 minus 2.3 or 2.3 minus 2? Well, since this is the mean, I know the mean comes second. So that's why then A is the answer choice. Here, you know, I'm just going to kind of skim over this one real quick and let you think and read what I have written. Because I remember thinking, have kind of struggling with this one and having to really justify all of those. And I don't really want to take the time to do that. I think what I wrote um, kind of clarifies that. If you read exactly what I wrote and see why, then that tells you basically what I would be saying to you. So I'm just going to leave that one there. Now look at this number 13. So I kind of drew a picture. Here we had 4 successes, 6, 7, then 6, and then 4, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1. So see, I can tell it is skewed to the right. That's how I came up with that. All right, so then I'll go ahead and stop this video here and see how you do with those and move on to the next one after this if you need help with the rest.